Welcome, everyone. Today's Edgewalker Cafe. This is December 15th, 2025. It's hard to believe the year is almost over. I'm looking forward to 2026. It feels like a wonderful year of dreams coming true and out of all this chaos that the world has been in. I'm Judi Neal. I'm the founder of Edgewalkers, and today Kristin Ekkens is our host for talking about the Joy Code. And so I'm going to turn it over to Kristin to kick us off, and people will be coming in as they find our link.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Judi. So I'm going to start us off with something I actually, when I pull different readings, this was a joke we just had. Judi asked me if I had something prepared. I said, whoops, nope. So I like to be vulnerable about that because I also think it's really powerful with whatever comes when I open these books. So this is coming from the Pivot Year. This is Brianna Weist. If you haven't read anything from here, but basically I can open any page on here and it applies to me at any day of the year. So this one is day number 212, in case you do have it and you want to look it up. You came here to grow, not to acquire or accumulate, not to be perceived perfectly or attain every charm in the world. You came here to deepen, to let go, to tie loose ends, to give closure, to love, to love. Please remember this when it feels as though you want to grip tightly to the pieces of your life that fit seamlessly within the structure of success, of safety, of making it. You are a wild soul in a temporary form. You are here to explore and have a story all your own. Don't deny yourself that. Don't deny yourself adventure. I think that's a perfect start for when we're going to talk about joy today. So welcome, everyone. Excited to have you here. Welcome as you keep coming in. I'm Kristin Ekkens. I've been a part of the Edgewalkers for 3 years or so. Yes, 3 years. And I'm a certified facilitator as well. So it's truly a pleasure to be here. And I love, love, love coming to these cafes and learning from everyone. Today, we have a special cafe that's a panel. And so I'll introduce what we're talking about just after I introduce the panel. And actually, Prem and Lara, I'm going to have you just briefly say something about yourself as well, because I won't do you justice. So I want you to just mention yourselves briefly, because these are two. So the panel is Judi, myself, Lara Khouri, and then Prem Patel. And both Lara and Prem I've met. Lara I've known, I'll introduce us in this way, how we're connected. Lara and I met also about, I think, 3 years ago, about that or so. And Lara and I have been connected, and through another Edgewalker here that connected us, actually, Susan Burnett.
The bifocal is too low. So the measurements need to be redone and easy.
All right, I'll just ask that you mute yourself as you come in. There we go. So one of the things that we found right away is that we are very connected on multiple things. And what I asked Lara to come in on, and actually my first membership was called the Cultural Edgewalkers. So figuring out how we bridge cultures and how we work globally as global citizens. And what does that look like to create inclusion and belonging? And so Lara's going to talk today about connection. So welcome, Lara. Do you want to say a few words about yourself as well?
I will. Thank you very much, Kristin. A few words about myself that are relevant to what we're talking about today. I am a serial expat. I've lived in 3-4 different countries. I'm currently in Dubai. I don't know how long I'll be here. I don't know when I will move. I've moved schools. I've moved towns. And one of the things that I found, and this is something that Kristin and I resonated with, is it doesn't matter where you are as much as it matters what you are giving and receiving from that environment. And so on the topic of joy, it is possible to be somewhere that people would consider wonderful but you are not feeling joy. On the other hand, it's possible to be somewhere where some people will consider, oh my gosh, I could never live there. I could never function there. And you will feel joy. So I'm bringing that experience with me to talk about joy and belonging today. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. And Lara hails from Dubai. So glad you can make it tonight. Prem, I would love to introduce Prem. Prem and I met only a few months ago, but we immediately connected, and Lara actually connected us. She said, you two need to meet. And when we got on a call, it was one of those things of we could talk for hours. Highly connected when it comes to bridging cultures in the workplace. When we think about even just purpose and why we're here. And one of the things, and you'll see as Prem comes up here as a spotlight, you'll see his book up on his bookshelf. And he has written a book and released it recently. And I'm so excited that he can be here to talk more about purpose more deeply with us and how that connects to joy. Prem, would you like to, and he's based in the UK, sometimes in Dubai, but right now you're in the UK, I believe, correct?
That's right, Kristin. Thank you for that very warm welcome and intro, and thank you, Lara, for introducing Kristin and I. You know, we could have talked for hours, but yeah, hi everyone. I'm Prem, and I am currently in London, and I sort of split between my London and Dubai quite often. So I have the joy of spending about 10, 12 days a month in UAE and Dubai. So I spend my time, but yeah, you know, I was 30 years in corporate world. I turned entrepreneur earlier this year in January. I found lots of joy in the corporate world. Also found a lot of unhappiness in that space, and that unhappiness influenced me and persuaded me late last year to break out of that world and create a new world where, you know, I can help whoever I can and create better human connections. That's what my entire purpose is.
Amazing. Thank you, Prem. So glad to have you here. So I'll just go ahead and introduce our topic today. And what we plan to do is, you know, I'll explain a little bit more about exponential joy and about the epic joy codes. And then each one of us will take turns and giving a little talk. So I want everyone here in the cafe to write down when you have questions, because we're going to make sure to leave time for questions, but also feel free to put them in the chat. And I'll monitor that when I'm not speaking and the others as well. And we want this to be, in a sense, this casual where we have things prepared to speak on. And at the same time, we want to make sure we're hitting the mark. So please give us feedback in the chat so we can hear and see your questions that you have and what resonates with you. And then I'll jump right in. And actually, I'm going to jump in with a story first. So for me, when it comes to joy, I didn't come to joy through success. I came to joy through a quiet reckoning. And it's been a quiet reckoning that first it was kind of a troubled reckoning, and then it quieted so that I could find that joy and that true, what I believe as infinite joy that is available here on this earth. And there wasn't this huge moment. It was a period of time for me. It wasn't this big dramatic or public thing that happened. But when I realized that something essential had gone missing, it wasn't my motivation. It wasn't the impact I was having, but it was aliveness. Can anyone resonate with this? That all of a sudden I felt like, well, I'm functioning. I'm a mom of teenage boys. I'm a wife. I have my own business. And prior to that, I was in the corporate world. I'm contributing, I'm volunteering, I'm doing all of these things. And yet something in me knew that this is not how my soul was meant to operate. Because slowly, and then all of a sudden quickly, my body started breaking down. And that was a signal that I ignored for far too long. So the deeper question that I started to see, the question stopped being, how do I lead better? And how do I scale impact? Yes, I still think about these things and try to figure it out, but it was actually more about what sustains human life energetically, emotionally, spiritually. And while we're here to serve. And so, yes, all of those things, none of what I was doing was bad, but I missed a huge component of aliveness. I realized looking back, so at 35, this is when my health crisis hit and my body just started breaking down. People who saw me at work, they didn't realize what was happening. They could maybe see it some in my eyes if they could read eyes and where sparkle was and where it wasn't. And actually, someone at the grocery store, I walked into a health food store and they said to me, I think you need raspberries. And I looked at them like, what? Okay, I like raspberries, but why are you saying that? And he said, the sparkle is gone out of your eyes. I don't see it. This was an absolute stranger I had never met in my life. And to me, that told me more in that 1 second that it was not just raspberries that I needed. There was something about aliveness that was missing. And what I realized was, even though I thought I was playing with my kids, having fun with them, I actually had drained the joy because I forgot all of my hobbies, the things that gave me boosts and joy in life. I stopped playing piano. I stopped doing artwork because life got busy and I was trying to work and be mom, and I stopped caring for myself. And now what I know that to be is I was very compassionate towards others and had forgotten self-compassion. And so this is where it truly started. And now 10 years later, I founded Exponential Joy. And Exponential Joy is truly something that is a passion for me. It's a passion project, but it's much more than that. It's a system. And my hope is that it becomes a global movement, that it's not just Kristin founded, but this is something that many of us who are doing work around joy and trying to raise the joy here, that we can rewire humanity for joy together. And so one of the things, and I'll just quickly bring up my website, you can take a look at it later, but it just maybe gives a more of a visual of what I'm saying right now, because the hardest thing about this is making it real. It's making joy real for people, that this is not just this intangible, it's not this reward, but this joy is actually something that we can make tangible and that we can design into our life. And so here, Exponential Joy, and I'll put this in the chat later, what I'm saying is the mission is to rewire humanity for joy. And if we can go and rewire humanity for joy, live fully, lead consciously, create meaningful impact, that together we can actually radiate that to others. So it starts with our own awareness and moves into a space that others will actually feel it. It will be contagious. And I know we're all a part of this. So it's a movement. I won't read through this, but what I do want to show you next is what we're talking about today. The thing that came to me, and I'm going to say it to this group of Edgewalkers, exactly what it was. It was a download. I had a download first about Exponential Joy. And yes, my middle name is Joy, not my pen name. My parents gave it to me. But just at 45 is when I realized, wait, hold on. They didn't just give me that name, and it did take them 4 days to give it to me. I was in the hospital without a name for 4 days. But at the end of that, before they could go home, they had to name me. And it was one of those moments of, hold on, it's Kristin, and it's Kristin Joy. And now at 45, I've learned that that is meant to be my mission as well, is to be light and be joy in the world. So the download that came just maybe last April, it was, so how do we tangibly get there? Because it can't be this fluffy thing that people just say out in the world, there's joy to the world. Yes, joy to the world, absolutely. And there's actually something that we can do about it. It's a joy operating system, and we each have one. But we have to put joy as that power source in order to do it. So if we look at this as the power source, then there are codes that we can upgrade within our system and actually tangibly look at each one of these codes to say, what do I need right now to upgrade, or a boost, just like an operating system from our phones have. We need to upgrade those as life is changing and rapidly shifting. So I won't say much more about the Epic Joy Codes because each one of us will take one of these from our perspective. And how I look at it is energy, purpose, intention, and connection. Energy is about vitality and that life force that we have. Purpose is clear direction aligned with those deepest values and vision. Intention is this conscious choice and focused awareness in every action that we take. And connection is this authentic relationships that we have, creates belonging, and it amplifies our impact. So that's what I'll share right now. And I'm eager for us to jump in. Let me stop share here. There we go. I'm eager for us to jump in, and I'll actually invite Judi up first to talk about energy briefly from her perspective. Judi.
Thank you, Kristin. Thank you so much for you and for your work. And I want to let everybody know that my husband and I are taking this course that you'll talk about at the end of this, towards the end of this, the Joy Operating System Accelerator. It's fabulous working with you and learning from you. And I get a lot of energy from it. And energy is the E in our epic journey. And my first kind of awareness of the importance of paying attention to energy, and energy is a regenerative kind of energy, not just, oh, I'm full of energy, I'm the energy bunny, Energizer bunny. It's this ongoing force that feeds you in living your mission. And the first awareness I had was reading the Celestine Prophecy. And if anyone has ever read that, I think it's one of the most practical spiritual books there is. And it's there's a principle in there, an insight, I guess they call it, where in the story, it's a fictional story, that the protagonist comes in to a fork in the forest, and he is guided to look at the one on the right and the one on the left and to see which one has more energy. You can turn into the subtle energy and be guided to follow the energy. And it might look like light, it might be a feeling, it's different for each person. And that has become a guiding principle in my life when I'm trying to decide what directions to go or what people to be with or what project to take on. It's like, where is the energy? And the other thing I want to say about the connection between energy and joy is that I'm a latecomer to the concept of joy as well. And for me, my life was really dedicated to being of service. And my daily prayer to God was, please show me how to be of service. And people started telling me, they didn't tell me I should eat raspberries, but they did say something about my energy was getting lower and lower. And I didn't know what to do about that. I just wanted to give and give and give and be of service. And I'm starting to run out of energy. My battery was just running dry. And I went for a job interview for a job at the Golden Gate University in San Francisco. And I love San Francisco. And I actually loved the job, and I was really thinking about taking it, but they didn't pay enough to live in the Bay Area. And I was like, okay, I probably could make this work. And I'm just trying to figure out which path to take, because I was doing well where I was at the University of New Haven in Connecticut. And I'm on the airplane going back and asking God, please tell me which path would help me be of more service. And I heard God laugh. It's like the most delightful, maybe Santa Claus is, the ho, ho, ho. It's like, just like it was a cosmic joke. My question was a cosmic joke. And then I heard the words, do what brings you joy. And I was stunned. And I didn't know what to make of that. And it actually took me 2 months to make a decision to turn the job down in San Francisco because I had not paid attention to joy. That had not been a guiding principle in my life at all. And I had to tune into that. And then I realized, well, joy is actually where the energy is. And that now became my new guiding principle is if it brings me joy, that's worth doing. And also as a manager, I'd hired people to work with me. And when they'd start to complain and say, this work is whatever they had a complaint about, I would say, well, then don't do it. If it's not bringing you joy, I don't want you to do that because all I want in my organization is people filled with joy. And that they, would find another way to get that thing done, whatever it was. Somebody else would get joy in that. Let's figure out how everyone can be operating in joy. And again, that doesn't mean jumping up and down for joy. It means really feeling this rightness of what you're doing and who you are in the moment. It's an alignment. It's actually usually very calm and peaceful. And so that has been the new guiding principle. Not so new now. I guess it's been like 20 years, but it does seem to be a much more sustainable way of being, a much healthier way of being. And it also, I tend to be achievement oriented and sometimes a little bit of egotistic of like, I can do this and I'll do it all. And it's hard for me to delegate. And then I realized, well, this work could bring somebody else joy. And if I'm in joy, people want to be around me and they want to work with me and bring their joy. And so it creates much more of a collaborative environment, a much greater sense of teamwork. And for me, the most important thing is a sense of community. And so, Kristin, I absolutely love what you're saying about rewiring humanity for joy, because that is the greatest sense of collectivity. And I find as I go on my spiritual journey that my sense of self and connection goes from take care of Judi to take care of the team, to take care of my local community, to take care of my country, to take care of the world, to take care of the cosmos. It's like, it's just this expanding exponential joy. And so I'll conclude this with that. Thank you.
Judi, thank you. Thank you so much. I wish we had more time to dive in and that people could ask questions immediately after speaking, but I am going to hold us to make sure that each speaker has enough time to say their piece. So please do put your questions in. And if you're saying, so what do you mean by joy? That's always a question that I want to hear what they think of joy. What does it mean to them? So if you want to put that in the chat too, while we're switching over. Now I want to invite Prem to the stage. And so, Prem, if you wouldn't mind sharing just a little bit about purpose and what that means to you.
Sure. Thank you, Kristin. So let me start by saying, life is too short and it can be taken away from us at any point in time. And I start with that because that was where I started my life. And so back in 1969, when I was born, everything was fine, everything was good, happy family, all of that. About 10 months later, my father passed away in a tragic car accident. And so I never met him. I never held him. I never held his hand. We never hugged. We never said we love each other. And that whole thing, as I grew up, always sat in my head. So I had this inner voice in my mind of my father, who I didn't even hear his voice. I sort of pretended what his voice was going to be like. And I'd ask questions and I'd share my sort of thoughts around it. And I'd always think he's talking to me. But my grandfather stepped up and became my quasi sort of interim father, a father figure. So I had two great guys, one in my mind, one physically there, who were guiding me and pushing me towards my North Star. So I had a bit of a rebellious childhood, And, you know, my purpose when I was younger was always pushed by family values and by family. And in the Asian culture, in the Hindu culture, you know, you grow up in a big family unit. Like many other cultures, you know, we had 14 people in the house, but my grandfather was the guy who, you know, set the rules and the guidelines. And he'd always say, think of others. In my primary school, there was a huge board in our assembly hall, which was the school motto, which was think of others. So my entire childhood, I was always told, think of everybody else, think of others before you think about yourself. And as I went into my teenage world, you know, I became a rebellious teenager because I was thinking, why am I doing things for everybody else? Who's thinking about me? And I was always told, don't worry about your problems, don't share your emotions. You're a guy, you're a male, you don't talk about your feelings. And so for many, many years, things were held in. I never talked about things. I didn't know what my purpose was, but what I did know is I made people happy. I created some brilliant teams, high impact, high performing teams. You know, they seemed to be happy. They seemed to be happy with their work, but there was always something missing for me. And I wasn't sure what that was. And it took me nearly 54 years to realize what that piece was, what that piece, that missing piece was. And I started talking about things about me. And, you know, I started thinking about myself for a while and pushing sort of more, you know, the family and a few other people outside of that inner ring, you know, and that's the only thing that got through it. And then it was only a couple of years ago where I found my purpose by talking to a wonderful lady called Judi Campbell, who is a coach, and she's absolutely amazing. She'd been coaching for about 50 years. And I came across her purely by accident. She's in the US, and I never physically met her, but we always talked, through virtual challenge. And we sort of went through a lot of soul searching and reflection for about a year. I was 28 years in corporate world, and I was just not happy. You know, my teams seemed to be happy, and I was trying to create good projects and give them all the cool, edgy work to do, and I thought that would make them happy. I thought I was happy by earning good money. You know, I was a sales guy and in marketing, and I earned an amazing amount of cash, got big bonuses, and I thought that was the thing that was going to make me happy and make everyone else around me happy. And it wasn't. It was a thing that made me the most miserable person because I didn't enjoy the way I was earning that money. And so we decided, you know, and I realized myself that my purpose was going to be to inspire and improve the quality of life of as many people as I can. Because every time I'm helping someone, that gives me more joy than just going out and selling a product or selling something and earning some money and putting it in the bank, you know, because it always goes back to my early childhood days. You know, my father was a banker. He was saving all of his money. He never got a chance to use it. He never got a chance to spend it. He died at the age of 31, you know, still quite young. So what was he saving for? You know, what was he doing all that time that he probably wanted to do, but he couldn't because he was saving up his cash? So for me, it was more about how can I help others, and we can all work towards, you know, a common and create a community and create a common sort of way of working where you basically put all your limiting beliefs aside, because the only person who has those limiting beliefs is yourself. I have them myself, and everything I've written in my book that I'm sort of advising and guiding people to do, I did everything the wrong way. You know, I had limiting beliefs. I doubted myself. I always expected somebody would come and save me and do things for me, and nobody did. You know, and you know, I always felt I would get too many opinions for decisions, or too many opinions for choices. And you know, but the one thing I always did do is take action and keep moving forward, because you can't get your time and energy back. So the purpose, you know, and when you talk about joy, especially now, when I think about the last sort of 5 years in the corporate world and how it's changed after COVID, a lot of people expected other people to make them happy in the workplace. They wanted whatever they wanted, and they get disappointed at the end of year performance review because they get surprised, or they don't quite expect, that everyone thinks they've done a great job. And having those tough conversations, as a leader in the corporate world, actually gave me a bit more joy than actually, getting those bonuses, because giving tough conversations and tough love, while the receiver doesn't always receive it, always positively, but when they reflect on it, it's actually a really good thing you've done as a leader to say it as it is and provide that information, because that's the thing that influences change. And when you start shaping behavior and you start seeing people change in a new direction, that's sort of those little micro moments of change, and micro moments of steps moving forward. That's where I think purpose really comes in, and people start having a bit more joy around where they work and how they work. And some individuals will take a complete pivot. I did that in January, leaving my corporate world after 30 years, and did a complete pivot, not knowing what I was really going to do. And then I met wonderful people like Kristin and Lara and various other people, and my purpose started coming to a bit more clear. It was less hazy, and and I wake up every day and I love what I do right now. I jump out of bed and I think, how do I tackle this day? What am I going to do? What am I going to do different today? And I never had that for many years. And I think you have to create that world, and that's basically where I believe sort of purpose and intent start coming in. Very often in the corporate world, you just do things because the corporate expects you to do it that way, because nobody else, at the leadership level wants to change, or they just think the old way is the best way, and they don't evolve and they don't change and they don't, embrace the new world. And I think some of those, challenges are really at the fore right now with the advanced technology and everything that's impacting our lives. And that'll continue over the next 3 to 5 years, where the world is going to, be tipped over into a 360-degree turn. And it's only through human connections and community and building a togetherness. I think that's where the joy and the purpose is going to come through. And I'll leave it at that, Kristin.
Prem, thank you. Oh, I love the storytelling. I'm so so grateful that you can be here, Prem. Thank you for sharing so deeply with us as well. And I'll piggyback on that because I'm next on intention. And so where you left off in terms of the micro movements, I love that word. It is these micro actions that we have to take. And so for intention, I think about this now as conscious actions. So joy is taking conscious actions. We're aware of what we're doing to design that life of joy that we want to have. And it's actually looking at it in a way that's what's my desired state. So I'll pick up where I left off on my story that, I was coming out of burnout, had just worked in Silicon Valley, and I said, okay, here's what I need. Because my number 2 strength on Strength Finder is achiever. And my number 1 is activator. So those two are really dangerous when they're together if you don't know how to use them wisely. So the achiever part, I had to say, now what is it that I need in order to make sure that I don't go back to that space again? So I became a certified high performance coach, and I learned the techniques to really design that life and say, what is the structure that's needed around this to make sure that I can move into the space? Now, it doesn't always work and just, I've designed it, now this is how it is. We all know that. We can't control. And that's actually the key point of this. It's not about controlling, and I'm still learning this lesson on a daily basis. It's about allowing. And so the moment that I can allow joy to be at the center, and everything else works around that, that is when I find My intention is focused on allowing, and things come in. And I can live in a space of joy. And so people have asked me and said, joy, and people have written about this, saying, you know, joy, when you're here on this earth, it's not possible to have infinite or exponential joy. And I highly disagree with that. The thing is, though, that doesn't mean that you're not going to run into troubles. It's just, how do you work to intentionally figure out when you have these troubles? For example, real life story, my 15-year-old broke both of his legs in September. That was a real life struggle that switched my whole business world and family world upside down. And in the moment, what I did was, because I'm training myself to move and to design how I react to things and my feelings. I have a feeling, and then it's looking at it, and this is saying, I'm grateful that it was something that he can recover from. I'm grateful that it wasn't worse. I'm grateful that he can be in this space. And this is what actually trained me to move into that joy space immediately after it happened, and not go into panic and lose my mind. Okay, maybe moments of losing my mind, but the state of joy was there. So what I actually want to bring up in terms of intention, if you think about it, intention isn't willpower. It's not about trying harder. It's about coherence. And so think about it this way. Intention is what happens when what you want and what you believe and how you feel are no longer in conflict. I'm going to say that again. What you want, what you believe, and how you feel, they are no longer in conflict. All three of those. So it takes an in-depth self-awareness about that feeling of where you are and what you believe can happen next and what you desire. And so when they're misaligned, and that's what they were for me before, for many years, they were misaligned. And so then taking action felt heavy. It felt like a chore. But when they were aligned, I have found that action feels almost obvious. Of course, this person would connect with me on this. And they're the exact person I needed to talk to today. Of course, someone would introduce me to so-and-so, or that this will come here. Of course, I expect those things to happen now, where before it was a pleasant surprise. Now I expect, because intentionally I have said my desire is to live from a place of joy, and that everything else around it will radiate from that space. And so I'm going to bring us back to, if you know Abraham Hicks, if you've read any of the books around that from Esther, he talks about a stated desire versus lived belief. And when Abraham Hicks, when they are talking about a stated desire, it's what you say you want. The active belief is what your nervous system expects. This is why it has to be unconscious and made conscious and goes unconscious again, in a sense, because we're not creating necessarily from desire. And this can be an uncomfortable truth. We're not creating just, I want this, and you're expecting that, or I don't want this. You create from that belief plus emotion. And that's why I've loved learning from so many gurus out there who have talked about joy, and learning from them and what they've experienced and what they've understood. But this is from the book, The Art of Allowing. So if you think about it, the art of allowing isn't passive. It's an art. And you're also learning how to do that. It's not do nothing and hope at the same time. It's about stop practicing resistance. And this has been, this year, that has been the thing that I've worked on the most. Stop practicing resistance and start allowing. And I think this has a lot to do with our intentions and what that looks like. Feeling better is not denial. Feeling better is alignment. So this is when, we talk about designing that life we want to live, and that's greater than the discipline. The last thing I'll say is, as a high performance coach, one thing that continually, I'll say, frustrated me was I heard over and over, it's about your discipline. That's the number one thing. It's your discipline. And to me, I am more of a free-flowing creative. And when someone says, the more you're consistent and disciplined, I say yes, and I get consistency in how that helps, and I get discipline in how that helps. But I believe designing is more important than just going by discipline, because you can be disciplined and start going the wrong way, disciplined on something that's not aligned with purpose, and that will suck out your energy at the same time. So that's how these things are all aligned and connected to connection, because that's how we radiate this out. So I'm going to hand it over to Lara now. Lara, would you mind sharing about connection? Is Lara still here? I'm not seeing her on my squares right now. She was here for the whole time, but okay. What I do know is that they have a lot of weather happening right now in Dubai. She said that right as she came on. So it's raining, and there's actually a stay-at-home order right in this moment. So I'm going to assume something may have happened with that. So I'll just go ahead and cover a little bit, and if she comes in, and then we'll jump over to questions. So I'll just say a few words about connection. I really wish you could hear it from Lara, though, because it's powerful. Maybe she can record something for us later and share it. We'll see. I know you'd love to hear from her. So in terms of connection, I see this also as a space of belonging. And when we start connecting with people on a deeper level, this is where we radiate whatever from intention or purpose, whatever we're feeling and what we desire, we start radiating that out, and they feel it. This is where our energy can start small and go big, whether that's positive or negative. And so I actually call energy, intention, connection, the connection piece. Connection is actually the exponent. So if we have energy, purpose, intention, all of that becomes exponential when we connect it to our connections. And I think I saw Laura coming
back.
in. Okay.
Yes.
Then I'm absolutely going to hand it back over to Laura. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, internet's just dropped. We are experiencing weather in Dubai, which doesn't happen very often. So when it does happen, it throws everything into a bit of a spin. It's raining. There's a typhoon in the northern Emirates somewhere. So this is an experience. So I've now joined on my phone, and thank you all for your patience, and thank you, Kristin, for going with the flow. I would like to ask, quick show of hands, if you feel like it. How many people on this call believe that we have ever felt joy? Authentic joy. 1, 2, 3. I see nodding. 4, 5, 6. Okay, everyone. Almost. And what about lack of joy? Also seeing lots of nods. Okay. And how many believe that the reasons that we feel joy or we feel a lack of joy are the same? It's the same for me as it is for David. It's the same for David as it is for Allison. Same for Allison as it is for Pedro. Little less nodding here, a lot more thinking from what I can see on my phone screen. And I am really happy that that's the case, because, and this, I forget who it is, somebody had written in the chat and I can't see it now. I think it was Pedro. Someone had written, I'm so sick of corporate, when Prem was talking. It was you, Pedro. Yeah. A lot of people, so I should mention, I was in corporate as well. Very similar story to Prem. I was in corporate and I had a life that, it was almost a cliche, right? Jet setting, the nice car and the apartment and all of that sort of good stuff. And like Prem, I was miserable, so miserable. And like Kristin, eventually my body gave up. The stress and the lack of joy got to me, and I developed 2 stress rate related situations, both of which are chronic and are probably never going to leave me. And that's when I knew that I had to do something different. What I've learned through the years, and this is part of, I mean, I'm coming to what I do now. What I've learned through the years is that for each of us, finding what sparks our joy is very personal. And when I initially left corporate, my mission was to make our world a happier place. And I was going to do that by setting up what was one of the first homegrown customer employee experience change leadership consultancies. And the motivation to do that was because I had spent so much time in corporate seeing miserable people, and I had felt that misery. And I knew that humanity could not continue that way. And when I set up, someone asked me, so who do you want to do this for? And I said, everyone. And even right now, there's something, and Kristin and I were talking about this a few days ago, there is something that I have developed for high school children, well, high school youths, when it comes to career decision making. And someone asked me, well, what's your goal for this? And I said, I want every school in the world to use this. Because what I've come to realize is that humanity is in a state of crisis. And we are at a crossroads, and we have a very, very important choice to make. And it really boils down to, are we going to choose to live with joy, or are we going to choose to live with what we mistake for joy? And usually what we mistake for joy are the things that should make us happy, like the great job and the high salary and the traveling all over the world and the. There's a quote that I found a while ago, and I have it on my phone. If I can just find it, it's a definition of joy. And I can't see it right now. I had it on my computer ready to go, so now I'm having to find everything on my phone. Here, wallpapers. Joy, noun. The state of happiness which is not based on your circumstances. And if you've read the chats where we've all been putting, what is it? What is our definition of joy? None of it has anything to do with our circumstances. It's all about being. And right now, as humans, we have a choice. Are we going to be and really be our authentic human selves, or are we going to keep chasing what we think is good for us or should make us happy? I'll close this off with something that I had done earlier this year. Is I gave a talk, a keynote at an entrepreneurship festival. And one of the things, and they were adamant, they wanted someone to talk about creating spaces of belonging to spark joy in the community. So I did a little bit of research, and I would have loved to show this to you, but no computer, no Wi-Fi. I asked just randomly people in my circle, how do you define belonging? Not joy, because in my experience, joy and happiness are so confused by people who just living their daily lives. And I asked about 15 people, and they all had something different to say. So joy as a way of belonging, as a way of connection, as a way of resonating with ourselves, as well as our environment, is deeply, deeply personal. And one of the best gifts that we can give ourselves is making whatever effort resonates with us to find our joy. And to be quite honest, that's one of the things that I get from the community that Kristin has set up, is joy. And twice when we've been on our calls in that community has seen me crying, bawling, because I've had to put a dog down. I've had to put two of my dogs down this year. And both times I came on that call because although I was feeling such a tremendous sense of loss, I was also feeling joy because I belonged. And these are people, these were hearts that were resonating with me. So that's what I will leave you all with, is find that which sparks your joy. And it's personal, and no one gets to tell you if it's right or wrong. Thank you very much.
I'm so glad that you were able to come back on and share that with us, Lara. Thank you for making it happen from your phone. Really, truly appreciate it. As you can see, such a powerful panel of people with amazing stories to share. And I know here as well on this call, and whoever's listening to the recording, amazing stories also that you could all share as part of this. I'm going to share in the chat briefly, and then we have a few minutes for questions. I'm going to share one thing. So here's my only call to action today. I have a few different things. And as Laura mentioned, she's been a part of my joy community. We'll just call it that for now, right? The joy community for a year. I started that membership a year ago, and she was a founding member of that. And this past year, we've been just iterating. So I do a lot of innovation work connected to joy. And so it was actually called the Joy Incubator. And we were experimenting with joy in different ways of seeing and feeling joy. And we always bring culture into the mix as well, because we want to hear from people from all around the world what sparks their joy, as Lara said. And because you never know what will help us find something we might say that's in our mind. Maybe we don't say it out loud, but that's a really weird thing. And then we try it and we're like, that's amazing. I need to do that more often. So we're learning practices from around the world that bring people joy. That's what we do in that membership. And so this year, I'm actually expanding it. This past year in 2025, it was focused on women. And we were focused on diving in deeper. And we call this now, with the shift, I've felt the shift of this needs to be open to all, because now it's going into global movement style. I want us to be able to connect, and there are many ways of connection through this ecosystem. So what I sent you here was a link for the Joy Accelerator, the Joy OS Accelerator. That is a more intensive, that's what Judi mentioned before that she is in, a more intensive program so that you can go through the Epic Joy codes and learn together. And so there's a wait list right now. I'll be opening up one or even two more accelerators, and it will depend on the track that you're interested in. So you can join the wait list, and I'll reach back out to you to figure out if this is the right thing. The thing that I didn't mention, so we will be opening one that is good for APAC, that works in the Asia Pacific region, not just here in the US and Michigan time. That's where I'm located. So I'll be doing one in the evening, my time, which will be morning in Asia Pacific. And so the thing that I didn't mention is, so I'm in an AI mastery program. And one of the things that I've been training others to help since I've learned is, how do you use AI to help you clear off what drains your joy so you have more time to boost your joy? And so part of this is around training on that. And also one of the accelerators will have a wearable embedded. And I'm partnering with a company out of Australia, and it's a wearable for emotions. And so that will be one of the first of its kind. I'm the first coach to partner with them. And so I'm hoping that people will be interested in experimenting with us in that space as well. If you want to know more about any of those things, please feel free to reach out. At a very minimum, if you go to the website and click Join the Global Movement, it's free. It's just to be on the insights list, so you can learn more about what we're doing. We have like 4 minutes for questions. I'm sorry how fast that went, really fast. What questions do you have for the speakers? I'd love to hear from you. Put it in the chat, or go ahead and take yourself off mute and ask. That would be fantastic. Even comments, questions, comments, thoughts, what resonated with you? I'd love to hear what you loved about today's session.
I could share.
Tara.
Yeah. when I was little, I mean, the question of joy, and I've when I was little, I would get this physical sensation that would overcome me. Like I called it the Googles. And it was when I had so much love, like I was so filled with love that my body felt like it had, creepy crawlies and butterflies, and I would need a squeeze from someone I love to like bring me back in. But that what I've come to understand, and then there's always laughter involved for joy. I mean, with joy for me, when I'm with others, when I'm out in nature and I feel joy, I don't have to laugh, but often I do. But the my capacity for joy is actually it's just higher than most of the people I grew up with and that were around me. And so my capacity for joy and it's just bigger. And
I love that. I love that. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. I absolutely love that. The capacity too. And I think when we can see that the capacity is big, and this is where I'm seeing different spaces in the ecosystem for exponential joy, even partners that come in, again, how we bring joy, because some of us, it seems, have tapped into that capacity that is so large that we're at that place of like, radiate that joy, radiate it. People need it. When you have this capacity to feel it and you know it already, then how do you make sure you're radiating it to others? Because if you keep it all right here, like amazing, and the world needs it. Thank you so much for sharing. Anyone else want to share? We have maybe one more comment. I'm happy to stay on after for a minute, but I want to be mindful of time.
Yeah, I would like to share. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go on, Amy.
Should I go ahead?
Yes, it's you, Amy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Laura because for bringing up that it's not about circumstances. When I was in my 20s, I was a rock and roll singer, and we did front act for like Crosby, Stills and Nash and Grateful Dead and big guys. So I met a lot of rock singers, and I lived with a Grammy Award winning pianist. And what I found was they were miserable. They had the fame, they had the money, they had the women, they were miserable. And I'm seeing the same thing today, that there is a call, if you look on Facebook, about, make 10,000 as a coach, all this kind of like money, 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 and that'll make your life okay. So I really appreciate the collective wisdom of this group that says, wait, it's not about that out there. It starts with me in here. So whether that's through joy or self-value or whatever you're going to call it, I just wanted to say I appreciate it. Thank you.
I love it. Thank you, Amy. Appreciate you for coming. I'd love to hear just one more thing in the chat. If everyone can just type in there, what is one thing that you loved about today's session? What did you love about the cafe today? What sparked something in you? We'll just wait a moment while you're putting that in. And I just want to thank you all again for coming. Pedro, you're dropping insights. Amazing. He wrote, money is a fountain that never satisfies your thirst. Oof. Awesome. Thank you, Amy. Yeah, I love the discussion around energy, hearing the panelists share personal awakening experiences. Yes. Wouldn't that be fun if we all went around the room to share some of those experiences? Maybe that's a different cafe, Judi. That's great. Thank you, Amy.
Never alone. Never, never alone.
Oh, I love that. Well, oh, yes. Thank you. Oh, good. I see your comment, Judi. Fantastic. Well, I'm going to be mindful of time now. Can we all just give a round of applause to Lara, to Judi, to Prem? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. Hope you both too can join our cafes moving forward as well. We'd love to have you here. Spread the word to others to join the Edgewalker Cafe. This is such a deep and beautiful community that we can share with each other in a safe space. So Judi, thank you for creating this container for us and for allowing us to share today. Did you want to say anything else, Judi, as sign off?
This is the end of the year. First of all, I want to thank you, Kristin and Prem and Lara, and for bringing Prem and Lara to our community. I look forward to learning more about both of you. And then to remind everyone what a beautiful season we are in the Northern Hemisphere. This is the time when the days get shorter and then they transition in just a few days to beginning to get longer. It is a time when all the major traditions focus on light, and light is a wonderful sign of joy. And so please, in this season of light, be looking for your own inner light, make it as bright as you can, share it with others, as Kristin was saying to Tara, let it expand and touch others, because it's all the same light. We're all part of it. And so thank you all for being here, and blessings, blessings, blessings on this season of light and joy.
Thank you, Judi.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
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 Bye. Thank you.
Bye, Chuan-Wan.
Bye. Thank you so much, Judi, for that wonderful closing remark.
You're
It really
welcome.
speak to my heart.
Thank you.
care.
Well,
Bye-bye.
Judi is a gem, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was wonderful. By the way, as we finish, but a few weeks ago I had to be hospitalized, and I was in the intensive care unit.
Pedro, no.
Yeah, I was there. And the funny thing is that I was always with a smile in my face. And one of the nurses came and said, "You look like you're in the beach."
Going for a swim.
And she asked me why. I said, "What do you mean why? I'm happy. I feel blessed to be here."
Mm. Mm.
And she was amazed with my feedback, and she said, "Well, we are not used to have people like that with this mindset." But yeah, it was very cool to be there. It was quite of an experience.
And you're okay now, sweetheart?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Mm.
Thank you.
We need to
Or you're
talk
not.
soon. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, I probably will be in US in April.
Ooh, you're
If you're
coming to
around,
Arkansas
just
then.
let me know so that I can,
Yeah.
like last year. Remember
Yes.
that? Well,
Maybe.
actually this year.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we'll get some other Edgewalkers to come too.
All right. That's lovely.
That would be fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love this Edgewalker Cafe. It was really cool. And it was very, very nice to meet you, Kristin.
So nice to meet you,
What a
Pedro.
pleasure.
And I'm glad you're doing okay now.
I'm okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So nice to meet you, though.
Thank you.
And thank you,
Well,
Kristin.
I
This
wish
was
you a
magical.
wonderful holiday season, filled of blessings and, good health and,
Yes, you too.
and lots of joy.
Yes.
Joy to the world.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to turn
You
off the
take care.
recording.
Bye.